Okay, today we're going to be going over soldering XLR connectors, and this is of course is a female connector which would connect to the input side from a microphone or something like that. And then we have a male connector which would connect to a console or something like that, always the output side. Remember that if it's DMX, 3-pin DMX, that it's the opposite, and it's that way on purpose. That so the output from a console control device or something like that is always going to be male. What inputs to your fixture is always going to be female. So it's completely opposite. But so there's several different types. This is our favorite right here. This is a Switchcraft connector. The reason we like it so much is because the barrel, they're very heavy connectors, with the barrel screws off. Your cable comes through and then solders right on, and then you just put it back together and it's done. So let's go over the actual pin out and then we'll move on to soldering. So if you'll notice, the pin out on a XLR connector is labeled 1, 2, 3. Now sometimes you need really good eyes to be able to see that, but you can see the 1, the 2, and the 3 pin. 1 here, 2 on the other side, 3 in the middle. So if you're looking at it straight on as an upside down triangle, 1 is always on the left, 2 is always on the right, 3 is always on the bottom. So the barrel, remember, always needs to go on the cable first. Once you've soldered the connector onto the wire, it's going to be too late. And so you're going to want to put this on first, slide it out of the way, and then work on the connector. The first thing that we'll do is we will put solder on the connector itself. So by touching the soldering iron to the connectors and then adding the solder after it warms up, you'll notice that the solder sinks into the little barrel connector there. So that's great. There are some different types of soldering connections that you'll find on some connectors, but this is the most common, is kind of a half barrel kind of a thing. And so we'll get those like that. And then the next thing that we're going to do is we want to what they call tin the wires on the cable itself. So to tin the wires, we will get solder on the soldering iron here and then just touch it to the wire until it kind of sinks in and kind of bonds the strands together. We don't want it caked on there. But also what this does is it, instead of trying to actually stick a stranded wire to a connector, we're actually only melting solder together that's already been applied to both ends. And so then we will hold against the connector until it melts and insert the stranded wire. And we'll hold it as still as we can until it dries. You can tell when it's hot dried, when it's not shiny anymore. And then we'll go over to 2, and if you're not using some kind of a holder, this is possible, but it is difficult. And then we'll do the same thing. We will just melt those together. And then we'll come over to the number 2. Press that down. Now remember, if you take too long with this, you're going to burn your thumb because the heat travels up the wire very quickly. And there you have it. You've got not the prettiest, but you do have a soldered connector there. And if you're like me, you probably will have forgotten to put this on first, and you'll have to undo it, do it all again.